One of the things is what I'm trying to communicate, because there is this NAR is coming down and saying, in essence, that if I'm to go show a buyer a home that's listed on the MLS, that I am required to have that buyer sign a buyer broker agreement. Are you shaking your head?
Yeah.
Is that not true?
Yeah, if the person who's showing the home is an MLS subscriber, which is what you said, the answer is yes.
Okay.
You have to do it. Yeah.
Okay. So my fear is we're going to wake up one day and everybody and their mothers signed a buyer broker agreement with an agent at some point. And so I think this is my personal opinion, I think this is a terrible policy, a terrible idea. It's doing nothing but hurting buyers. But with that, and I encourage all of our listeners, go back last week and listen to the 3-pack as we talked about putting together material to have these conversations with buyers and so forth. So the conversation that now I am having with my buyers, because now it matters. Mm-hmm. It matters who goes shows them a home. It does matter who they sign a buyer broker agreement with. They don't even know what a buyer broker agreement is.
That's the biggest problem.
So I am literally just packaging this to my buyers. These are the dangers. Why you need to call me before you sign anything. Number one, you are going to be asked to sign forms with other agents that you don't understand. Because again, buyers don't realize yet that they might have to sign a buyer broker agreement just to look at a house with an agent. This might include open houses. You may not, those days might be long gone where you just pop into an open house, because you might be asked to sign a buyer broker agreement, and they're definitely not going to be familiar with the buyer broker agreement and the terms set forth within it. This is a danger.
Well, the biggest danger is, again, broker created forms. So, you've got an AAR form, which every one of us can go to a class on and learn how to properly fill it out. But then you also have the opportunity and the possibility that the buyer could have signed a broker created form. And that's really where the game significantly changes. Back to your point about open houses, Mike, I'm going to caution an agent who is holding an open house. I'm imagining, of course, that they're from the same broker as the company that has listed it. And the caution is going to be the fact that you could be putting consumers in a situation where there's dual agency, and hopefully that's going to be a much longer conversation.
Real quick, we had a question come in. It's a great question. So there is going to be a new tenant broker agreement, employment agreement. It won't be buyer broker, it'll be a tenant broker agreement that is in the works. We saw a draft of it 2 weeks ago, so that will be another AAR document. But on that point, like Todd said, we are seeing brokers and online iBuyers have their own walk around document, the 7-day document. So those things are coming out there, so you need to educate the people that you're working with.
Yeah, I wanted to see whether Dwayne actually reads those requests to sign documents. So I actually sent him a buyer broker agreement, and unbeknownst to him, he's now committed to me as his agent. Send a buyer. No, that's not funny. I joke.
That's a good try then.
All right, so buyers need to understand, if you sign this form, you might be committed to paying another agent's commission at the time that you close on the house. They're unlikely aware that they might be committed to paying for their buyer's agent out of their own pocket if they sign a buyer broker agreement with an agent. And they are going to be possibly signing these buyer broker agreements with agents they don't know, or they don't even know at all. They don't know that signing a buyer broker agreement locks them into that agent. So again, I'm on the phone, I'm talking with my clients. Do not sign anything, because you may be signing something that locks you into an agent you don't like, you don't know, and you might be committed to coming out of pocket $7,000, $10,000, $12,000 at the close of escrow.
And these documents are going to require more than ever that you ask the state required and real estate required question. Not are you working with another agent? You can start there, but you must ensure that you ask them, are you under contract with another agent or another brokerage for the purpose of helping you find your new home? Because there is a law that says that you have violated 322153 Arizona Revised Statute if you have someone sign a document and they're already subject to a document, an exclusive document.
All right, and then your buyers need to know that there could be major ramifications. First of all, the temptation is going to be I don't want to sign any buyer broker agreement. I don't want to work with any buyer's agent, so I'm going to go unrepresented. You have to be able to clearly identify and articulate to your potential buyers the dangers of buying a home unrepresented. And I know a couple weeks ago we talked about our list of 27 questions that I
Yes.
created for unrepresented buyers. You can email me if you want a copy of that, but you have to be able to explain that to them.
That's correct.
You need to also be able to explain that they could get locked into paying multiple agents if they sign more than one buyer broker agreement. And they could face, I don't know how many agents are going to be in the habit of going out there and suing buyers, but your people need to understand if they sign a buyer broker agreement with another agent and they don't pay that agent, they theoretically could get sued. And you can't convince me that there aren't some slimy attorneys out there gearing up for this to start marketing to buyers agents. Go after your buyers.
Yep. Number two, or number three, bullet point two is what I was talking about under number two a few moments ago. Again, the law requires that you let them know before signing yours that if they are subject to another one, this will put them, or may put them, I love the word might, but may put them in a situation where they're going to be required to pay more than one compensation to a buyer's agent. So it's very, very, very important. Things that are not on the table and will may come the end of the year or the first of the new year that will deal with what that document has to include, including an opt-out clause for the buyer.
Yeah, and we haven't seen any of that stuff yet.
Nope.
The current version of the BBA that has not been sent out does include a pretty decent section that's bolded and underlined that goes over the what would happen if you do sign multiple buyer broker agreements for the buyer. So it does go through that, so it helps the agent there. But again, you're making an assumption that someone's reading the document before they sign it. So you, as the agent, want to make sure you're doing your due diligence, going through these explanations clearly, again, for the safety of these individuals. You don't want them signing a document, locking them into something with someone they don't know, putting them potentially in a situation where they're not going to have good representation.
It's going to boomerang on the agent that does that, because realistically, if these attorneys are out there and the agent finds themselves penalized at some particular point and they go back and they find out that the agent who got them into the document didn't ask the appropriate questions, nor did that agent take the time to sit them down and explain the terms and conditions of the document, you're going to lose anyway.
But even if we're not talking about multiple buyer broker agreements, you come into my open house and I have you sign a buyer broker agreement, you leave, and then you and Lynn go out and buy another house without an agent. Let's just say, we're contractually partnered together, and that's what buyers need to understand. I would not go after you and Lynn, but in theory, I could, and an attorney could talk me into it.
Yeah, and again, as a host to an open house, you probably do not want to get into the concept of having buyers do it, because realistically, legally, you represent the seller anyway. You do not represent the buyer. When somebody comes to an open house and you're holding an open house that is listed with your firm, you are a listing agent, period, until you've exhausted all those opportunities. So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Do that.
Thanks, Todd.